Hey there guys, welcome back to WND Tech. On this channel we look at computer technology and gaming. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up at the end and maybe consider subscribing too. Corsair's Iron Claw RGB wireless rechargeable gaming mouse features custom RGB zones across the front, back and mouse wheel using Corsair's iQ RGB software with 50 million clickable Omron switches, 10 programmable buttons, high quality rubber palm grips and 18,000 dpi optical sensor with a sub 1 millisecond 2.4 gig slipstream wireless, Bluetooth or wired connections. The Corsair Iron Claw RGB wireless mouse is a great option for your next mouse upgrade. For more information and where to buy, check out the links in the video description. So now that Christmas is out of the way and New Year's out of the way, we're well into 2021 now. So if you can't afford the latest and greatest technology and you're looking for a laptop, then maybe the second-hand market is for you. But you need to be aware of a couple of things. We've got this laptop in. This is a PC specialist laptop. This is not a sponsored video, obviously. We've been given this one to have a look at. We're going to use this for homeschooling, which is obviously all the rage right now. Everyone's at home in the UK and in other places as well. So this one is not without its issues. I've been told it shuts down on its own, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. And the Wi-Fi keeps dropping out as well, so there's a few issues going on here. Also, it's a little bit slow, but I suspect that that can be resolved fairly easily. The main issues here is that this laptop seems to be shutting down. Now, normally when a laptop is shutting down randomly like that, when you're in the middle of doing things, it's normally due to heating, but it can be a couple of other things as well. But the main thing that we're going to be looking at is the heating issue with this laptop, and we'll strip this laptop apart and change the thermal paste as a starter. But there's a couple of other things that you need to check as well. So as we've said, we're going to be looking at the temperatures of the CPU. So we're going to run a Cinebench on this thing and show you the temperatures. If you can just pull you in a minute, I'm going to show you the temperatures. This is literally sat here doing not a lot. So you can see the CPU package there is 65, 70 there. And yeah, the maximum we've received is, well, look at that. Look at that, 99. Okie dokie, so let's run Cinebench and we'll show you guys what the problem is. And I'm going to show you something else as well. Let's leave that there, and let's also bring up Task Manager, because everyone knows what that is, right? And just look at this. So we're here idling at about 3.4, which is normal for this CPU. As you can see up here, we're running an Intel Core i7-4710MQ. That's a Max-Q CPU. So we're going to run Cinebench and we're going to watch that speed drop. And we're obviously going to be monitoring the temperatures as well. Now, it's running now, so you can see there 100% CPU utilization, roughly, as it's gearing up to run the Cinebench benchmark. So if we see that there, it's now running the Cinebench benchmark. And let's watch this drop down. If we can focus on this thing here, 3.09, and yeah, 3.09. So let's go and have a look at the temps at the minute over here. 96 degrees on the CPU package there. Incredible, absolutely incredible. So we've definitely got some sort of issue going on here. And we can see there the speed is dropping down quite drastically now as it's trying to compensate for the overheating CPU. So 2.8 we're at now, 2.7 and dropping, 2.6 we're at now. Geez, we're going really low now. So we're almost 1 gigahertz slower than we should be on the speed there. Incredible. And it's still going down, in fact, 2.65. So we seem to be hovering around the 2.6. Yeah, 2.6-ish mark. So, but it's only been running a few minutes. How far are we into the benchmark? As you can see there, the benchmark itself is nowhere near finished, and we've already dropped nearly 1 gigahertz of speed on the CPU, which isn't great. 2.5 now we're at. And on the CPU package, we've gone up to 97 degrees, as you can see there. So there's definitely an issue, as you can see, with the laptop. And as I've already said, the main focus is the heating problem with this laptop, because as it stands at the moment, it's pretty much unusable. The Wi-Fi issue that we've got with it, we can just plug in a network cable if we need to. So that's not really the main focus of today's video. So we're going to flip the laptop upside down and see what we can't do to fix this. Okay, so for this, you're going to need a screwdriver. We're using an electric one because we want to do this super quick. And yeah, this is probably a bit overkill for this, but a small-headed screwdriver will do the job just fine. So we're going to take this off super quick and we're going to see what the problem is with this laptop. Okay, so here we are. We've got the back plate off from the underside of this particular notebook, and if you're interested in the model, it is the P170SM from PC Specialist, and I don't even know if they do this model anymore, but that is the model if you're interested. So as you can see here, we've got two fans, one for the GPU or the CPU there, and then one for the GPU. I'm not entirely sure which way round is which at the moment. I suspect this is the GPU fan here with the two heat pipes and the single heat pipe there for the VRM for the graphics. And then we've got a similar one here with two heat pipes for the CPU. This looks like a CPU socket here for a laptop. And then we've got a plate there covering what I would suspect is the VRM or the power delivery for this CPU. And it doesn't even look like it's actually ever been taken off, or no one's taken these off anyway. So these little tabs here are to help pull it off once you've unscrewed these four screws here. Now, the issue is obviously on the CPU side. We've got an issue. I can feel that even now, actually, by touching that with my hand. It's still quite warm. Will, put your hand on there. Hold it on there. The palm, like that.
God.
Quite warm, isn't it? So that's definitely the side, because obviously we've got the laptop flipped up the other way now. So this is the CPU side. This is the GPU side. We haven't tested the GPU side, but we're going to be cleaning this one out as well. So here is the fan pushing air or sucking air in and then back out through the back of the laptop itself. You can see where the air is supposed to come out. Now, what I suspect is happening is over time, this fan is obviously doing its job, sucking air in as it should, keeping the CPU as cool as it possibly can with the two tiny little heat pipes it's got there. And what I suspect is over time, you can see, look on the top here, there's little bits of hair and dust and all that sort of stuff. Now what happens is over time that collects on the inside of this, and you'll see that when we take it out in a minute, and basically it can't push air through, and then it overheats, and we get the type of problem that we're getting with this laptop. I'm hoping that's what the issue is with this one, because it'll be a nice easy fix, and then we're gonna brush that out and make it all look fairly clean. Now we're going to do the same with that one, but we won't show that one. They're basically the same principle. So let's start unscrewing the CPU heat pipes, shall we? So what we do here is always do them in a cross pan. So do one and then the opposite, one and then the opposite. It just helps, especially more so when you put it back on, it helps the CPU paste that we're going to replace in a bit spread out evenly over the CPU. As you can see there, it's already lifted up quite easily. Oh wow, oh wow. Let's get a good look at this, shall we? That's fine, I'll lift it up. So it's not screwed down. Sometimes they're screwed down here as well. And let's lift this thing out. Oh my God. It's not actually the worst I've seen.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's definitely been repasted. I can see there's been paste put on that. It's covering the CPU. There's way too much paste on that, but that's fine. We'll sort that out in a bit. But yeah, that's not as bad as I thought. I mean, look at this. Gross. This is absolutely gross. But this is what happens to all laptops over time, guys. And it's really, Will is cringing in the corner, currently being sick. So if you don't maintain your laptop, this is exactly what happens. And it happens to all laptops, guys. This is not specific to this one. All laptops over time will I've seen worse than this, actually. This isn't even the worst I've ever seen. And yeah, but that is part of the issue. Now, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, that's for sure. But I suspect that we can put some fresh paste on that, and that will help a little bit as well. So yeah, we're going to take the fan out as well, and yeah, give that a clean out, because I suspect there's probably some dust inside that bit as well. But this is screwed down, so yeah, we're going to do that next and see what difference it makes. Okay, so now we've cleaned off most of the dust, if not all of it, that we can physically see on this side. We need to remove the excess thermal paste that you can see here and here, and repaste that. So this is isopropanol spray. You can't really tell from this because it's completely, yeah, it's gone a bit strange. Anyways, this is isopropanol, and this is what you will need to clean this off. Now, what else you use to wipe it off with is entirely up to you. The only thing I've got to hand is toilet roll, basically. So yeah, we're using toilet roll. I would recommend something that doesn't leave little particles of anything on it. So I'm going to be extra careful with this, because toilet roll does leave behind some fibers. So we need to be careful of that. But I've done it in the past, so it should be fine. I would recommend blue roll if you can get it, or any other sort of kitchen roll that you can just chuck away afterwards, because you don't want anyone to touch this once you've got thermal paste on it. So what we're going to do, and this is completely safe, don't panic, we're going to literally spray over the top of that component, and we're going to wipe it off, and we're just going to keep going until there is no more. So there we've done the GPU. This is actually, believe it or not, this is a modular GPU. You can take this one out and replace it. Now, if I can find any upgrades for the 980 on this particular system, on this laptop, then I'll post them on the screen now. But obviously, if not, then there's none available for it anymore. Bearing in mind, this is a really old laptop now, but it's unusual and actually really good to see that the graphics card is modular. Now, why more manufacturers don't do this, I don't know. Once we get this thing fired up, again, after cleaning it out, we'll see what make the motherboard is and things like that if we get time. But it's really great to see that you can replace the graphics card in this. Should be something that you see in more heavyweight laptops. Really like that, really like that. Right, anyway, let's move on to cleaning off the CPU. And there we go, that's the CPU cleaned off and the GPU cleaned off. And if you can see that, the GPU is an N16E GX-A1. Excellent stuff. Right, let's start repasting and putting it all back together. Oh yes, before we put them back on, we also have to clean off the heat sinks. As you can see, they're covered in paste as well, so we do need to clean those off too. And here you go. Hopefully the camera's focusing on those. You can see they're as clean as we can possibly make them, and you can see through the actual heat sinks this time. So that should help keeping this thing pretty cool. And before anyone says these are wrong, there is really no wrong way. As long as it covers the entire chip on the top there or underneath the CPU paste, it will be absolutely fine. That will work just fine for the GPU. That should work fine for the CPU. And any problems, and I can just repaste it, can't I? Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Always start them diagonally, so that it spreads out the paste as evenly as possible. And basically do them up until they won't do up anymore. Don't ever over tighten them, because yeah, you'll cause damage, and you don't really want to do that. So that's the fan and the heatsink for the CPU done. Let's move on to the GPU. And there we go. That is the GPU heatsink and fan put on, and the CPU heatsink and fan put on. Let's fire it up and first of all see if it made any difference to the temps. Okie dokie, so we booted back up. We've come back to Windows Task Manager. We're going to use that because, well, everyone has Windows Task Manager if you have Microsoft Windows 10. So we're using this as the sort of the benchmark, as it were. And you can see there the GPU is sat idle, so it's at 36C. Not much going on there, but more interestingly is that the CPU package now. This is just booted up. It's like 5 minutes since it's booted up. So there was a lot of disk activity, so it might have been doing an update or something like that, but it seems to have calmed down a little bit now. CPU speed is there, what about 3.3, 3.4 roughly, and temperature is currently sat at idle about 41, lowest is 38 there. So let's run let's run Cinebench and see if we get an improvement or not. So we've got Cinebench loaded up, so let's start that off now, and you'll see, as I see it first time, with the new paste on there, and it cleaned out. So hopefully Cinebench is going to start soon. Did I actually click on it? Yes, I did. So there we go, it's starting now, on its way. So there we go. Let's see how high the temps go. I can definitely hear the fan speeding up now. 63C on the CPU package there, 64. Now it didn't take long last time to hit 90 degrees. So I think at the moment we're not doing too bad. That's a definite improvement. And all we did was brush it out and repaste the CPU and the GPU. Obviously the GPU has no bearing on this particular test. We're only testing CPU here. So we've gone up to 70 now. Let's just see what it does when it completes. So it's actually dropped down a little bit, 71, maximum 72 there. So far it seems to be holding. So this is going to run for another 8 minutes and 30 when the camera focuses, 8 minutes and 34 seconds. So we're going to leave this to run for that time, and we'll come right back. So before we let it finish, one thing I just want to point out, the CPU speed is obviously much improved from what we were getting before. We were getting nearly 1 gigahertz slower, so about 2.4 gig I think we got down to. And we're now holding steady at 3.09. So that in itself is a massive improvement. And we are almost complete on this particular run. We still have, what do we have there? 7 minutes, 20 seconds left. And we're still at 75C. Okay, so there we go. The test has just finished. As you can see there, it's just finishing now. And the maximum temperature we got was 80 degrees. So that, although that is still quite hot, that is still far below the nearly 100 degrees that we were getting on our previous test before we cleaned it out. And as you can see there, it's actually still running. So what we're going to do, we're going to stop that, because that's run for the 10 minutes now. So we've stopped that. There we go, that's it, right at the very bottom. I wasn't expecting it to... is it still running? It says it's still running. Anyway, I don't know quite what's going on there. It says it's still running. I've clearly clicked stop, and I think it just needs to catch up. I don't know what's going on with that. How strange. Anyways, the temperature we got there was, as you can see, 80 degrees after about 10 minutes or so. As we can see, the temperature's dropping down now because it's not under load. So that should go back down to 42-ish over a period of time. That takes a little while for it to cool down, obviously. And the speed on the CPU never went below 3.09. So it's gone back up to 3.45, which is about the base for this particular CPU. I didn't mention it before, but the CPU is the i7-4710MQ camera. Can you please focus? Thank you. There we go. So that's the CPU in this laptop. And yeah, there we go. That is one way to sort out your computer. Anyway, let's close up this video now and give our thoughts. So there we have it. That is one surefire way to clean out and speed up your old laptop. We've shown things similar to this in the past in previous videos, things like a couple of bits of maintenance and stuff like that, how to clone your drive. But this one's been about how to sort of keep the performance of your laptop from when you first bought it. And it was a very simple thing to do. It took literally probably 15 minutes to do overall, and it's given us back the performance that we originally had, or that the person before us originally had. So That has brought the temps down, as you can see, to a maximum of about 80. That still seems quite hot, but it's well within the maximum for the CPU. So that is actually a good result. I just want to bring you guys along for the ride to show you how easy it was to repaste and dust out your fairly old gaming laptop that you might have knocking around, especially now everyone needs to do things at home and you do want to play some games on it. You don't always need to go out and get the best one. Of course, we all want RTX 3090s and the latest Radeon cards and all that, but you know, you can't get hold of them anyway, and if you can, then you're very, very lucky, and well done to you. But for the rest of us that just can't get hold of one, then keeping your old hardware in tip-top condition is the best way at this moment in time. Hopefully, guys, you found this video useful to you. Don't forget to check out any links down in the description down below, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and maybe even consider subscribing too. Also, don't forget to check out our merch store, which is also down below, where you can buy nothing that I'm wearing right now, but you can buy things that we've designed ourselves, and we will be updating the logo because you may have noticed we've changed our logo now, and those will be updated very, very soon. So do please go and check out our merch store. Also, if you do want to support us, then please can I ask that you go and check out the links down below. Again, double check, because we also have ways that you can support us via subscription-based services such as Patreon. Patreon allows us to continue to do what we want to do in the best way that we can and get new kit for filming better quality videos. We are currently, if you have seen previous videos, go and check them out if you haven't. We are converting our shed into a kind of mini studio, and that money will help greatly towards insulating and keeping everything in the shed very, very dry and safe. As we have recently discovered, we didn't do that in the first place. So we do kind of need a little bit of help with that, but you don't have to. You can just watch our videos. Just make sure you give the videos a like. That is all we ask. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.